There will be a couple of milestones after that departure burn begins. The first, when Cygnus crosses the keep-out sphere, which is a 200-meter radius invisible line around the space station, and then the approach ellipsoid, a 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer by 4 kilometer ellipsoid around the station. These invisible boundaries are monitored by the flight controllers and help us monitor as we have vehicles arriving and departing from the station, whether they carry crew or cargo. Cygnus launched with over 8,000 pounds of cargo. That included 3,078 pounds of crew supplies, over 2,300 pounds of science investigations, 33 pounds of spacewalk equipment, 2,286 pounds of vehicle hardware, and almost 100 pounds of computer resources. Now coming up on 5 minutes until release of the spacecraft. Each Cygnus spacecraft is named after an influential individual in the world of spaceflight, and it's this Cygnus being named after the former NASA astronaut Ellison Onizuka, who they selected in honor of his prominence as the first Asian American astronaut. Onizuka was hired in 1978 in the first class of diverse astronauts, and his first spaceflight was aboard Space Shuttle Discovery in January 1985. He lost his life aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1986, along with 6 other crew members. Critical hardware that arrived on this flight included the International Space Station Power Augmentation Modification Kit. It was installed on the upcoming IROSA, or International Space Station Rollout Solar Array spacewalks, as the station continues to upgrade its solar arrays. After departure today, Cygnus mission is not over yet. It will deploy CREPI, which stands for Kentucky Re-Entry Probe Experiment. This experiment will demonstrate an affordable thermal protection system to protect spacecraft and their contents during re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Making these systems efficient remains a big challenge in space exploration, but the unique environment of atmospheric entry makes it difficult to accurately replicate those conditions on the ground. This investigation is an inexpensive way to compare these models to actual flight data and validate possible designs. Here's a good look at the current configuration of the International Space Station. You've got Cygnus NG-16 on the Earth-facing side of the Unity module. Once it departs, it will still have 4 visiting vehicles attached. That's the Soyuz MS-19 spacecraft, the Progress 78 resupply craft, the Progress 79 resupply craft, and the recently arrived Crew 3 Dragon.
In Station Houston N2, ISS thrusters are inhibited and ground M1 is go for release on time. At this time, please make sure no exercise is active.
Station copies.
The release window of the Northrop Grumman Cygnus spacecraft is open, still targeting an on-time release at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
And Matthias, can you verify no exercises currently in progress?
I confirm no exercise in progress.
Copy, thank you much. Proceeding with release.
Copies.
The release command has been sent. This view from the end of the latching end effector. We'll start to see movement shortly.
And that's blue. Richard is blue. Open blue.
And the snares on the latching end effector are open. We are standing by for visual confirmation and separation of the vehicle.
Snares open. Begin monitoring for drift out.
Copy. Monitoring for drift off.
And we have release of the Cygnus spacecraft at 10:01 a.m. Central Time, 11:01 a.m. Eastern Time, 268 statute miles over the South Pacific Ocean.
Have exited the Lee.
Copy.
Matthias Maurer confirming that the vehicle has exited the lee, or the latching end effector. This view from his workstation in the cupola module as he monitors its departure.
Proceeding with back away.
Copy. Proceeding with back away.
The Canadarm2 now backing away from the Cygnus spacecraft as we prepare for Cygnus's departure burn to take it out of the International Space Station's keep-out sphere, that 200-meter radius invisible sphere around the station.
This is RMS to vehicle clearance approximately 1.5 meters.
Copy. Good clearance at 1.5 meters.
Clearance approximately 4.5 meters and more. Ready for step 4.
Copy. 4.5 meters. And we concur with step 4.
The spacecraft now 4.5 meters away from the Canadarm2, and the Canadarm2 continuing to back away.
Cygnus depart commanded.
Copy.
The Cygnus depart burn has begun. This burn lasting a few minutes and taking it out of the keep-out sphere around the space station.
And 1.602. And back away complete.
The Canadarm2 has completed its back away procedures. Here's another view of Cygnus as it continues to depart the International Space Station, and its departure burn continuing to proceed nominally, or well. This is Matthias Maurer's view as he is in the cupola at the cupola workstation. Again, Cygnus departure today was commanded by flight controllers here on the ground rather than astronauts aboard the space station. We're currently in a TDRS handover, which stands for Tracking Data Relay Satellite System. These are tracked, and we expect to regain communication with the space station shortly. On the right side of your screen, you've got Northrop Grumman's Mission Control Room in Dulles, Virginia, teams continuing to monitor the status of the vehicle. The departure burn is complete, and we have confirmation that it was completed successfully.
For Cygnus.
Go ahead, Matthias.
Step 6 complete.
Copy. I was just about to say Cygnus departure burn is complete, and copy. Step 6 is complete.
European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer continues to monitor the Cygnus spacecraft as it journeys away from the International Space Station, its next milestone being crossing the keep-out sphere, that 200-meter radius invisible line around the station that flight controllers use to monitor vehicles as they arrive and depart. Cygnus has departed the 200-meter keep-out sphere. Joint operations continue between teams here in Mission Control Houston and Johnson Space Center and the Northrop Grumman Mission Control team in Dulles, Virginia. The next milestone for Cygnus will be to exit the approach ellipsoid. This is the 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer by 4 kilometer shape, sometimes called the pizza box, around the space station. Now outside of the keep-out sphere, Cygnus continues on a good trajectory, taking it outside of the approach ellipsoid. We're standing by for those calls. International Space Station currently flying 270 statute miles over Chile. European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer continues to monitor the departure of the vehicle. And it was a light Saturday for the rest of the crew, enjoying some time off. Cygnus is targeted to exit the approach ellipsoid at approximately 10:24 a.m. Central Time. Shortly thereafter, termination of joint operations will occur, meaning the team here in Mission Control Houston will have the team in Dulles, Virginia on the right side of your screen take over full control of Cygnus. Cygnus continues on a safe trajectory away from the International Space Station after departure at 10:01 a.m. Central Time, as the space station was flying 268 statute miles over the South Pacific Ocean. Cygnus will later deploy the Kentucky Reentry Probe Experiment, or CREPI, which will take measurements to demonstrate a thermal protection system for spacecraft and their contents during reentry in Earth's atmosphere. Prior to its departure, Cygnus was loaded with trash aboard the International Space Station, and hatches were closed yesterday. Cygnus will deorbit on December 15th and re-entering Earth's atmosphere, burning up harmlessly over the Pacific Ocean and destroying all of the trash packed inside. This is a live view from the International Space Station. Cygnus continues its safe trajectory away from the station, and though we don't have view, we are still monitoring its departure. International Space Station currently flying west of Argentina. The next resupply craft scheduled to arrive at the space station will be SpaceX's 24th commercial resupply mission, scheduled for late December. Expecting about 5 more minutes until Cygnus departs the approach ellipsoid. Joint operations continue in the International Space Station Flight Control Room at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, on the left side of your screen, and at Northrop Grumman's Flight Control Center in Dulles, Virginia. Flight Director Greg Whitney monitoring the teams here in Houston, and Mission Director Zach Dwyer monitoring teams in Virginia. Cygnus continues on a safe trajectory away from the International Space Station, and the next milestone will be to cross the approach ellipsoid, the 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer by 4 kilometer line around the station. These invisible ellipsoids are also used as spacecraft arrive and approach the space station, giving the flight controllers and teams on the ground opportunities to check the systems aboard the spacecraft, as well as ensure the space station is ready to receive it. Expecting the call for Cygnus to have departed the approach ellipsoid in just about a minute from now, after departing the space station at 10:01 a.m. Central Time over the South Pacific Ocean. And right on time at 10:24 a.m. Central Time, Cygnus has departed the approach ellipsoid.
Station Houston and 2, Cygnus has exited the approach ellipsoid. We wish fair winds and following seas to the SS Ellison Onizuka.
Station copies.
And with exit of the approach ellipsoid, we have a safe departure of the SS Ellison Onizuka, honoring former NASA astronaut, the first Asian American astronaut, and selected by Northrop Grumman as the moniker for this mission. Cygnus launched on August 10th and arrived 2 days later on August 12th. This morning at 7 a.m. Central Time, ground controllers unbolted Cygnus from the Earth-facing port of the Unity module and maneuvered into the release position where Matthias Maurer monitored as it was released from the Canadarm2. Cygnus exited the keep-out sphere, the 200-meter invisible line around the station, before continuing its journey outside of the approach ellipsoid, the 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer by 4 kilometer line outside the International Space Station. With its departure, joint operations between the two teams here in Mission Control Houston and in Dulles, Virginia at Northrop Grumman's Mission Control Center have terminated joint operations, and the team in Dulles will continue monitoring the vehicle. Cygnus mission isn't over yet. It will deploy the Kentucky Reentry Probe Experiment, or CREPI, taking measurements to demonstrate the thermal protection system for spacecraft and their contents during reentry in Earth's atmosphere. Cygnus is scheduled to deorbit December 15th and re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, burning up harmlessly over the Pacific Ocean. Our next live coverage here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room will be at 7:45 a.m. on Wednesday, November 24th, when we cover the launch of the Russian Prichal node module to the International Space Station from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, launch being scheduled for 8:06 a.m. Eastern Time. With Cygnus' safe departure, that'll wrap up our coverage for today. Thanks for joining our live coverage of what's going on 250 miles above the Earth. Signing off for now, this is Mission Control Houston.